our next guest into the Daily Connerton Memorial Company interview chair may have the answer to that because her district, oh my goodness, her senatorial district, it stretches from Mystic and Stonington and north to several rural towns. Good morning, it's Gary Byron, 12 minutes after the hour of 8. Let's welcome our next guest, State Senator Heather Summers. Heather, good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Great, Heather. Nice to hear your voice. How have you been?
I've been very busy, as have you.
Yeah. We are all busy, Heather. My goodness.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something before I have a few questions I wanted to ask you anyhow. But one of them, which you've kind of covered when I had you on back during the campaign. You know, when I served with you in the legislature, I did not have to endure any Zoom calls, and I'm trying to envision what it would be like having one, let alone several that are happening concurrently. You know, when we would have committee meetings that would go on at the same time, we would just run up and down the stairs or whatever. You know, we'd hop from one to the other. I can't even imagine doing multiple Zoom calls. What is that like?
It is not effective. I'll put it that way.
I don't think so.
As you said, when you are present in the legislature, you have an ability to get up from your seat, run from one to another, go to the different rooms, hear it in person. You can see people's reactions. You have an ability for somebody to grab you in the hallway and say, geez, I know you weren't in there, but can I share this with you? Or, only you get 3 minutes. That's all you get. 3 minutes to, have our citizens be able to share their opinions. And also in our hearings in person, there's a limit, but you do have an ability to say, hey, can I talk to you afterwards in the hallway? I wanted to follow up on this, etc. And just being on the computer, Zoom after Zoom, literally sometimes from 7 a.m. until midnight at night is just not an effective way to do business. Now, the Democrats will say, well, geez, we've had a lot more people be able to participate. But they're not listening to what the people say anyway, quite frankly. And then secondly, you can participate for 3 minutes. It's just not effective.
Right.
You have an ability to submit written testimony. There's something very different about seeing somebody face to face, having them look at you in the eye when you're having a conversation.
Absolutely.
Hide behind a screen. And people should watch many times. We'll have public hearings, let's say in public health, and some of our friends on the other side, they'll pop in at the end. So not everybody can be on these public hearings all day long from 7 a.m. until midnight at night. And also Zoom has created this really interesting ability for what I call sort of the middle management folks who all they want to do is have another meeting. Let's have a meeting between 10:15 and 10:30. Oh, great, I'll send you a Zoom. And I feel as though there's this sort of illusion of busyness, but we're not actually getting any work done. Yeah. That's really, truly meaningful. And we're able now to just push stuff through that we don't want.
Heather, you hit on something really interesting because one of the benefits for me, and I can only speak for myself, but maybe you'll agree with this, is that when I was listening to testimony live, I not only could hear the emotion in their inflection, I could also see the emotion in their expression
Absolutely.
on their
body
face.
language.
Without
you could see
a
tears,
doubt.
etc.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
you could also see who came with them to support them.
Oh, sure.
If you had a mother testifying and she had her children with her, or if you had, let's say, the spouse who had lost a loved one and had the family support around them, that makes all the difference. And not that we legislate on emotion, but there is something very, I'll just say it just doesn't touch the citizens the way that it does in person. And quite frankly, I have no idea. Maybe somebody can point out to me why we are not back in. We have all these safety protocols in place. We have kids back in school. We are opening up gatherings to a larger degree. You can go see a band in certain places.
Sure.
But the legislature can't go back to work. And that LOB building is like a palace. There's plenty of places to spread out. Yeah. And now we've morphed into let's remote vote. So If you're going to be a legislator, you have to be committed and be there. I want to see you vote in person in the chamber. I don't want you sending, a little messenger with a piece of paper telling us how you're going to vote.
Excellent point.
And that's what this legislature has become. And it's really too bad.
I understand now. I was talking with Vinnie Candelora, House Republican leader, last Thursday, and he was telling me something that I wasn't even aware of. He said, we can now vote from our cars. I'm like, I know that you can vote from your office. You could have been doing that last year, but I'm like, you can vote from your car. What am I hearing here?
That was obviously a majority party proposal. I do think that under the circumstances that we're in, that could be a valuable tool at times. If you are somebody who has tested positive for COVID or you are in quarantine because of COVID, you cannot come in. You can't vote from your office. But if you are, truly committed, you could drive up and you could, with gloves, pass a note to the person who could run in on how you're going to vote.
No.
Those were for sort of extreme circumstances. But, now it's like, hey, I can be on the campus of the legislature, sitting in my car eating a sandwich or McDonald's and like, oh, here, how's I vote? And that's that's what I envision. That that destroys what we have preserved here in the state of Connecticut for so long. And I have an issue with the fact that you swipe in if you're a House member, right? They know you're in the building because you have
ID.
to use your badge.
Yep.
But you have no way of knowing if somebody's left. So how do we know?
Good point.
That the person sitting in the office is actually the person, the representative making that vote? We don't know that.
It's a great point. We are speaking with State Senator Heather Summers. I think a lot of our listeners may not know this, but Republicans have made some solid gains in Eastern Connecticut in recent years, and you've got a pretty good group of legislative partners as well, including new State Representative Greg Howard. Why are Republicans' messages really resonating in Eastern Connecticut?
I think, southeastern Connecticut it's a different dog. We have my district. I like to think of it's a very blue district, but we have along the shoreline. We have many folks that have moved here from other states. Mm-hmm. It used to be solid red. Now it's solid blue. But as you move up north, when you get to about North Stonington, I call it sort of the Mason-Dixon line in North Stonington, everything starts to change, and you have Democrats, blue dog Democrats voting Republican because they are, what you used to think of as a Democrat. They're not progressives. They're not, I shouldn't say they're not all progressives, but it hasn't taken over that tone that we're seeing from Washington. These are hardworking people that put in, countless hours. They want their individual rights and freedoms. They don't want to have to pay a toll to drive from Plainfield to Groton every day. They just want the government to leave them alone, basically. And, they're the heart and soul of what I consider like a true Yankee, and wonderful, resourceful people. They're not relying on the government to help them. They don't even want to ask him many times when they are entitled to specific help. And, I think that many of them have seen just the extreme swing of the Democratic Party. And so many of them have said, look, I don't have a home anymore. I was brought up Democrat. I don't want to not be a Democrat any longer, but, I don't belong in this party anymore. Yeah. Give me a home. So many of them are willing to vote off of their line and to support somebody who they feel is representing their views and also is working hard in the district for them.
You bring up the old blue dog Democrats. Do you think they're becoming a thing of the past? As I noticed that every election cycle, as Democrats may pick up more seats in the House and in the Senate, for that matter, that they're more progressive Democrats.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
There's, look at who we're electing. I mean, we're electing individuals with, very, very progressive. I may even go as far as say socialistic viewpoints.
Yeah,
the government knows better. We're going to make you do this as a business. We're going to not allow you to sell legal products that are legal products because we don't like what they do. There's a bunch of people that feel there's no way other than to describe it this way, that the government can make the decisions for you better than you can.
Yeah, I could never understand that.
Opposed to that.
Yeah, exactly. The government thinks it can spend your money better than you. We're talking with.
How wonderful must it be to be President Biden, to be able to spend trillions of dollars of other people's money on infrastructure projects that you hope come to fruition.
Yeah, $2.3 billion. Excuse me, $2.3 trillion, I might add. Hey, let me, I got to go to Facebook.
Thank you for leveraging our children's future.
Yeah, exactly.
It must be nice.
We're talking with State Senator Heather Summers. I want to go to Facebook Live that we're broadcasting from as well. David on Facebook says, how can the legislature give Lamont extensions for his executive orders? Time to do your job. Before I have Heather chime in on that, let's be specific. It's Democrats that voted David. Yeah, he is right.
Absolutely.
But it's the Democrats that voted for that, not the Republicans.
Well, and I will tell you, as somebody who sits on the Public Health Committee and the Emergency Committee, myself and my 3 colleagues all voted no to not extend these powers. And, that was shot down. In this last legislative session, there was different, we just went in a week ago, we put in some amendments to really try to limit it. It failed, of course. So he does have executive power for an extended period of time, because federal funding is tied to it, et cetera. But allowing Lamont to have this, unbridled power to spend what he wants to spend on whatever it is, all this money that's coming in, we don't have an accounting for where it's going. We would like to see it be applied in certain situations like the unemployment fund to shear that up, because our businesses are going to be stuck with a huge assessment because it's so indebted right now because of the unemployment situation. But he has total control over everything right now. And this is the perfect excuse for every Democrat, because anything that goes wrong, they can turn and say,
blame him.
It wasn't me.
That's right.
He's got the power.
Yeah, but
everything that goes right, they can claim credit. But come on, do your job. We need to have equal power within the legislative branches.
And that may have worked last year, Heather. That may have worked last year, but next year his office is up. So, he can throw shade to his Democrat legislators in the House and Senate last year, but now he's going to be held accountable for his actions come next year. Elise on Facebook says, I'm a former Democrat, now voting Republican. I'm a JFK Dem, not a socialist. Yeah.
She sounds like my dad.
Like a soft Republican.
JFK would be a Republican now.
Oh, you got that right. Oh, no. He'd be a moderate Republican right now. Patrick Sasser from No Toll CT, he's chiming in as well.
Hi, Patrick Sasser.
He's the best, isn't he? The Transportation Climate Initiative gas tax, does it have the votes, in your opinion, Heather?
I hope to God not, but I can't say.
Because it's a governor's bill.
That bill is coming out of environment. That's the bill the governor really wants. So the governor wants to be able to add money to the gas tax. So increase your gas tax and then take that money and have a board, not even a Connecticut board, a tri-state board decide where that money goes. And it looks like, some of it is designed for walking paths and trails and cities, et cetera, which sounds great. And I know there's a lot of environmental backing, but the people of Connecticut have made it clear this is just another way to hide another tax. It's like a driving tax. It's a toll. It's a mileage tax, because it's tied to every single gallon of gas that you use. And I understand there's a push for electric vehicles, but I don't agree with that. This is the way to go at all. Absolutely not. There's a lot of pushback to this, but we'll have to see where it goes. This is one of the governor's big initiatives. So for people that are listening, if this bill passes, make sure you remember who voted for it at election time. When you see your gas, look at the price of gas right now because we have a new president.
Already, yeah.
Wait till it's $4 a gallon in the summer.
Oh, come Memorial Day, you're absolutely right, And not to mention the fact there's a cap on the amount of gas that gas stations will be able to carry. There's like a tax, like a gas credit or some kind of. Oh man, it's David Bergeron is also watching on Facebook Live. He says, "How about investigating who in the state has ties to the Boston consulting firm?" You want to talk about wasteful spending? $16,000 a page, according to the Hartford Courant over the weekend. That's what we're paying this Boston Consulting Group to come up with information.
Again, executive
to come up with
order,
information that Republican House and Senate members have already given the governor.
It's nice to be a consultant to just be able to reiterate what's already done. You tie it up in a nice little report in a package. I mean, that is everybody. I will say there are Democrats that are very upset about these, no bid contracts going continually to a Boston Consulting Group, time after time after time.
Yeah, and someone's profiting from them too.
Someone is always profiting off of the state of Connecticut. Look at where all our testing went for our COVID tests. That's been in the paper all along. It's going to certain hedge funds that have ties here to the state of Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to be looked at. So, the what is the old saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. Follow the money. How about that one?
Yep.
Hey, I guess, are bills being JF'd right now? When do you go into the chamber?
We are actually going in tomorrow.
Oh.
Tomorrow, we're not clear exactly what we're going to be hearing, but from what we have been told, we will be working on just bills that are consensual, because the Senate needs to practice its new remote voting board. Yeah. So that's why we're going in tomorrow.
Okay. So
that senators can sit in their office and vote from their office.
All right. So it's not really...
Again, not something that I think is prudent, but that's where the legislature is going.
Are you voting on bills, or since just the Senate is going in, or are you just to test this board?
Just the Senate is going in. I understand, this could change. We have been told that we will be doing just bills that really are consensual for both parties, so people can practice remote voting from their offices.
Yeah.
But I have not seen the agenda yet for tomorrow. So most bills have met their JF deadline. For people listening, that means like when bills are finalized coming out of committee, and then they go on this large docket, this huge list of bills, and then we all, as you remember, get to try to push what bills we think are important to be heard in the House and the Senate.
Yeah, but sadly, the Democrats rule the roost there. I'm running out of time. Heather, keep up the great job, Senator. You're doing phenomenal. We love having you on the show, and every time you're on, it's just a complete joy. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Well, thank you. Have a great day.
You do the same. We'll talk soon. We're coming right back to your phone calls. Open phones are next. Start dialing and get in the queue.
Johnson's version over reports of rare and potentially dangerous blood clots.